We can ignore isolated modules, but there is one other option, which is actually not even mentioned here, which I still want to mention myself though. And that's the no emit on error option. You can set this to true or false, and the default is false. Now what does this do? If we set it to false, let me show you where this might be a problem. It is a problem if we introduce an error, or it can be a problem. Let's say here, I do have my button and I remove this exclamation mark. Now, even though we don't fully understand what's going on, the problem here simply is that TypeScript does not know that we certainly have a button here. After all, when querying for a button, we might not get one. If there is no element in the DOM satisfying this selector, then this will return null. And that's basically what TypeScript complains about. Here we access something on a potential null object, and that's not good. Now, that's an error we have here. If we compile our code, we also get this error here in the console. Nonetheless, the file is created. So even if I delete the app.js file, it will be recreated. So even if we have an error, TypeScript creates a JavaScript file. This might or might not be wanted. Maybe you have an error in your TypeScript file and you don't really know how to work around it, but you know it will not be a problem in the final app. Like here, even if we don't know about the exclamation mark, well, if we don't know about the exclamation mark, we might not know how to disable this error, basically, but still we know that this will work in our page here. So we might be fine with compiling this despite having an error. But of course, in reality, you should aim for error-free projects and rather learn how you can work around this issue than ignore it. Nonetheless, you could set this to false or not set it at all, because false is the default, if you are fine with generating JavaScript files if you have an error. If you set this to true, however, what will happen is that problematic files will not be generated. If I now rerun this, you see, nothing is generated actually. Even the analytics TS file is not output there. If we have some content in there, besides console log, you see, it's not getting generated. And the reason for that is that we have an error in a file. And if any file fails to compile, no files will be emitted. So here, therefore, we have to make sure we fix this error before we then can get TypeScript to again compile files for us. And therefore, it is an option I typically like to set because I'm not interested in getting JavaScript files if I still have errors in my TypeScript files.